Bollywood star Shilpa Shetty's husband, a well-established businessman, Raj Kundra, is under the scanner. In fact, not just him. According to Enforcement Directorate sources, even the star herself is likely to be summoned soon. Properties worth 97.99 crore rupees owned by Shilpa Shetty and Raj Kundra, Juhu and Pune have been attached by the Enforcement Directorate in what is being seen as a Bollywood-linked, possibly first Bitcoin Ponzi scam. Our focus tonight is Bitcoin scams and you, not Bollywood. Trust me on that. But first, let's look at what Enforcement Directorate has claimed. Raj Kundra received 285 bitcoins worth 150 crore rupees currently from the mastermind of an earlier Bitcoin Ponzi case, named as Gain Bitcoin Ponzi scam. If you are already losing track, stay with us because it's not about the glam power alone. It's about us trying to wrap our heads around the links between the multiple possible virtual currency Ponzi scams that you should be able to sniff the trap of. But now, Raj Kundra got those 285 bitcoins, according to the Enforcement Directorate, to allegedly set up a Bitcoin mining farm in Ukraine. That got scrapped. The bitcoins remained with him, which Enforcement Directorate claims was sourced from the proceeds of crime collected by Adv Bharadwaj. Now, who's he? He is an accused who's arrested and the mastermind of another Bitcoin Ponzi scam. That's the Gain Bitcoin Ponzi scam. Now, how is this link established and why is this important? Why should we know? Here's where investors come into the picture. It was in 2017 that several gullible investors like you and I invested their money through a company called Variable Tech Pte Limited, who promised them huge returns. For what? They proceeded as Bitcoin mining with their investments. 10% per month in crypto assets. Initially, they gave very high returns to the investors as promised, which eventually started to default repeatedly. This, by the way, is a big warning. Remember this point. We'll get back to this point. Now, eventually, FIRs were registered in Maharashtra and Delhi, and eventually 3 were arrested, including the mastermind Adv Bharadwaj. Now, he is linked to Raj Kundra, where Enforcement Directorate claims that Raj Kundra sourced 285 bitcoins from the proceeds of crime by them. Now, before I go ahead with the Bitcoin Ponzi scam, here's what Raj Kundra's legal team has said. They've claimed that there is no prima facie case against my clients. We have faith in a fair investigation and that we shall follow the due process of law. That prima facie, there is no case whatsoever, and that we will take the necessary steps under PMLA and will cooperate with the agencies. Incidentally, both Raj Kundra and Shilpa Shetty took to social media with cryptic posts. Raj Kundra said he felt disrespected but was learning to stay calm. And Shilpa Shetty posted a picture of Sai Baba with the post, "Surrender." Now, let's get back to our main focus. What is Bitcoins? If you are starting afresh, in simple terms, it's a form of a first decentralized cryptocurrency that cannot be controlled by governments. It's a digital currency created in 2009 and part of a highly volatile market. It lacks adequate security. Transactions are irreversible. Considered as speculative investments, utilizes blockchain to record transactions. Now, that's a technical term as well. I could explain that, but I'll leave that to our experts who will be joining us in a bit. There's a lot of debate around Bitcoins. We'll get experts to take us through that. But what's a Bitcoin Ponzi scheme? This is where fraudsters use either Bitcoins or other forms of cryptocurrencies to perpetrate scams. Investors promise big profits investors, the existing investors, are paid money from new investors. There's high returns with very little risks, and it's largely word to mouth. You know, this is again a regular Ponzi scheme that one has heard of so many times, but with virtual currencies. How do you know your money is safe and you're not falling for any of this? Here are some of the big warnings. Be warned. If high investment returns are promised with little or no risk, if you're getting or are being promised overly consistent returns, unregistered investments and unlicensed sellers, secretive terms and conditions, incomplete fee structures, no minimum investor qualifications that may be required of you, don't be happy about that. Incomplete or lack of paperwork, difficulty receiving payments, and if this is particularly introduced via shared FT. Now let's just get some experts on board to try and understand, to get a better sense of what really is unfolding. I'm being joined by Advocate P M Mishra, who's a lawyer and international regulatory consultant on crypto. Advocate.
Good evening.
Also, Dr. Prashant Mali, who's a cyber and data protection lawyer. Chandni Shah, who's a co-founder for Panther Quant. Thank you very much, all three of you, for joining us. It's a complex issue, but I hope with your expertise, you will break it down in absolutely simple parlance for viewers who are watching us. Well, first to you, Advocate P M Mishra. What does one make up of what's unfolding right now? Of course, these are celebrity names. These are huge names, multi crores of money that's involved. But is all of this happening in a parallel galaxy where the aam janta, the ordinary people, don't need to be bothered about?
See, as far as Bitcoin scam is concerned, and in relation with the celebrity, there are different links. In this case, it is different, absolutely different. Here, Mr. Kundra is not a celebrity, but yes, Shilpa Shetty is definitely a celebrity, but the relationship is husband-wife kind of relationship. So you try to understand one thing. As far as celebrity is concerned, they are there for endorsement. But before endorsement, they need to understand what exactly they're endorsing. And if they don't understand, if they don't have the awareness about certain technology or certain things, they should not jump into it. That's the first thing first. Because in our country, we believe Bollywood like anything, even the movie, the normal public have different kind of trust, different kind of faith on these stars. So definitely it's a kind of, once any celebrity involved in any kind of scheme, it's a big deal for them. But as far as Bitcoin scam and the scam which Mr. Kundra involved in right now, that ED claims is absolutely different. There, Mr. Kundra plays as a businessman, and there is a straight link that ED claims. And if ED is claiming, means in case of blockchain, you can't just hide anything. There is hash rate, and you can always, identify the transactions. They must have some proof that's why all these things happen. So if you are trying to link it with the celebrity like Ms. Shetty, so I think it's a different kind of relationship in this case. But normally, if at all anyone involved in any kind of schemes, not only crypto scams, different scams are there. Even in Forex, there are scams. You know different scams. It's MLM, multi-level marketing scams are there. All these guys involved in it without knowing the repercussion, maybe against money. That's it. So definitely they need to be aware of,
right.
And without knowing the scheme, without knowing of the technology, they should not involve. That's what I can understand from this.
Okay. Prashant Mali, if I can come to you, could you explain this to us? One of the things that was promised in this and the terms that's coming out is Bitcoin mining. What is Bitcoin mining? And the second question that I want to ask, another thing that comes up with Bitcoin is that government can't regulate it, but there is this blockchain that's spoken of. Could you explain both of us briefly and very clearly?
give me some time. So now this scam particularly, once the part I was also handling as one of my clients in this. So I know this case in and out. So this is 2018 case where a person comes, Mr. Amit Bhardwaj, he is no longer there. He was jailed, then he died in the jail. And so he was a technologist. So he brings in this scheme, like he will mine the Bitcoin. Mining of Bitcoin requires, mining is like making of Bitcoins. So, and to make those Bitcoins, you would require a lot of power and obviously computing power as well as the electricity related powers also. So huge investment is required. And when a miner mines it, he gets certain percentage of the Bitcoin. Okay. And what he promised was he will mine it in some foreign countries and get this 10% return per month. That was the big promise. And it was a pyramid scheme. So take money from one and give it to another. So this was a scheme here implemented, and a lot of technologists, a lot of people were involved in this Bitcoin related fraud. When he was caught, it was also found that he was owning a huge gold mine. He purchased a gold mine somewhere outside out of this proceeds. This proceeds went to so many people. So this is one type of fraud which was happening. This was Bitcoin with MLM imbibed, pyramid scheme which was imbibed in this. That's why it turned out to be a Ponzi scheme. It became Ponzi because of this. Second was the proceeds, because selling in India was difficult. So you have to cash out somewhere. So many of these people were cashing out somewhere in outside countries. So when the moment you do this cashing out from outside countries or in other instruments, it is the PML attracts. The proceeds are being black proceeds were getting converted into white money and vice versa. Things were happening. So this kind of fraud was happening, perpetuating here. In this case, what happens is the amount of 285 Bitcoins were given to him, and whatever is the reason being claimed. Now, is it legal? Now, Raj Kundra is an UK citizen. So in UK, it is legal to trade in Bitcoins. But in India, we are not accepting it as legal tender. Now, in India, the legal position is little tight. I don't say that it's completely illegal, but it is not legal tender per se. The taxes are heavy, and
That's right.
the way the ED is accusing that all the Bitcoins were found with him, there could be loopholes there too, because if he has kept in one wallet, possibly chances of binding Mr. Raj Kundra is possible. But if you have kept in multiple wallets in small exchanges, then they may have not reached to Raj Kundra. But statements from the victim statements from the witnesses may have led to Raj Kundra. So that could be a possible case in the investigation. And because 285 Bitcoins were proceeds of the crime, they were belonging to the investors, ED has to sell this and take the corpus or attach the property, sell it, and give it to the victims. That's the normal plan when as per PMLA, there is a scheme of how these proceeds of crimes could be actually sold and given back to the victims. So that may happen later, but if this is attached, this can get sold and money can be given to victims. But if you look at the length and breadth of this particular scam, it's very huge. And if you look at it right now, not even 150 CR has been recovered. See, we give big figures. You see, 2018, it was $10,000. Bitcoin was. Today, it is, I think, $68,000. See the amount of money which has been increased. And if you calculate, so how to calculate this scam? Okay. Whether you calculate at 2018 level or you calculate in this at today's level, that's another point in question. When you talk about this much amount of scam has happened. So people shouldn't,
the valuation always becomes a challenge. But allow me to just get in Chandni Shah as well at this point, who's a co-founder for Panther Quint. Chandni Shah, when Bitcoins are involved, when crypto is involved, there are gray areas particularly. But when you have the possibility of extremely high returns to your investments, that could be great news. But when does one draw the line that that's bad news or that's a red flag? How does one draw the line? Can you gauge that? Can an ordinary person gauge that?
Okay, so Sneha, first of all, one needs to understand that if someone is promising humongous profits, that too guaranteed in such a volatile market like cryptocurrency, it is generally a scam. This is a red flag in itself. All right. And people need to be educated about this. The problem with not only India, but at a lot of places is that because crypto is at a very nascent stage, it's like how internet was introduced and how people were learning about it. That is why the naivety of the people pushes them to invest their money into schemes or into MLM or Ponzi schemes, which generally takes the advantage of the that kind of that greed that we have, that if we invest a little and you get a lot of money out of it. So there's the famous movie we have, Hera Fairy, 21 din paisa double, that kind of schemes. When when it comes on the foreground, it is a scam in itself. Now, understanding what happened with the Raj Kundra case, see, I'm also a lawyer by profession, all right.
Hmm.
So I would like to add, like what, as Mr. Mali said, India is sitting on a fence. When we talk about cryptocurrency, we are good with blockchain. We have companies that are being set up in blockchain. But what the matey says, that we are still on a very gray area with crypto. What we need is a proper regulation, and this has been talked about by the PM a lot, many times. We have even taxed crypto trading in crypto. uh, it's very sad that
There was lots
8,000
expected.
people.
There was even a crypto bill that was expected. Of course, a lot was expected even in the parliament. That, of course, hasn't come through the way
Yes.
it was expected.
But
We'll get back to that in a bit, possibly the need or the lack of legislation in that particular area. But Advocate PM Mishra, if I could return to you at this point. Now, when you're talking about this particular case, it was in 2017 that people had actually gone and filed complaints. These were ordinary people who had invested their money. This would be hard-earned money. Um, just how difficult is it to track something like this? Now, it was very interesting that the other panelist mentioned that if the ED has to recover this money, they would sell that Bitcoin and
yes.
recover money or attach the properties likewise. Of course, in this particular case, it's a little far-fetched. These are only allegations at this point. It's not been proved. But how much of this, if you look at Bitcoin as an investment vis-a-vis Ponzi, what's the ratio that we have currently? How, safe Bitcoin investments vis-a-vis Ponzi scams, which is on the heavier side right now?
See, when you say Bitcoin is a Ponzi scam or Ponzi scam is related to Bitcoin, let's discuss about it. First of all, Bitcoin doesn't have any kind of legal status in our country. First of all, number one, let's talk about our country. Then Ponzi scam, yeah, it depends on how exactly, because the world knows cryptocurrency is a decentralized. It's a digital asset. It's a virtual asset. There are different definitions according to different regulators. But at the end of the day, in most of the countries, that's treated as an asset. So there is no legal status so far of Bitcoin in our country. They talk about virtual asset. Okay. And yes, Government of India has now come up with FIU compliances, Financial Intelligence Unit compliances, if you are related to cryptocurrency business. Somehow Government of India is recognizing cryptocurrency over there in India. So number one. Number two, if you are talking about ED and proceed of crime recovery. So now ED has attached what? ED has actually attached Raj Kundra's properties. So now they said this property belongs to, or this property is purchased via proceed of crime. What is the proceed of crime? That Bitcoin that probably Raj Kundra has already sold and purchased these properties. Maybe that's what the definition, and that's why they attached.
Right.
Otherwise, they could have attached the Bitcoin. In US, normally all these Bitcoin scams,
I see.
FBI always attach the Bitcoin wallet. Okay. So that's what Related to Raj Kundra's case is all about how, first of all, in our country, the issue is we don't have any clarity on regulation, even clarity of law. That's the reason why Mr. Amit Bharadwaj got the bail only in 10 months by the Supreme Court. If you go through those case studies, you'll understand how exactly he got the bail. So at the end of the day, absence of law related to something is a very big deal, and that's the reason why not only cryptocurrencies, even in forex and a lot of scams are there. It's because of that gap. All these people are taking advantage of.
In fact, this has been a part of a huge debate. There was an ecosystem at one point in India that was very, it was very gung-ho about crypto, and they were expecting the government to do a lot. But of course, that did not fall through. But Prashant Mali, if I can come to you, and this is interesting, and I'm going to ask you because it was just a few days ago. You know, I was reading this article, and the CEO of JP Morgan, this is Jamie Dimon, he's gone on to say that Bitcoin as such, in totality, is a public decentralized Ponzi scheme. Now, this is in a very different ecosystem, but look at him, what he's talking. And could this be the reason why the government is treading cautiously? Because there are so many loopholes with this, particularly with hard-earned money of, you know, the Indians.
See, there are loopholes. First, you have to understand, Bitcoin is a decentralized currency. That government thrives on sovereignty when they print their own currency. So one of the proof of sovereignty and power is when you're printing your own currency. You take currency power out of your hand, then government may not have that much amount of power to legislate, to control the economy, etc. Okay, so that is one issue in the mind of government. Second is, because India being very illiterate in when it comes to financial instruments, it becomes very difficult. You know, in early days, in Navi Mumbai, they were selling bitcoins in a coin format. They were saying that this is a bitcoin and B was written on it. And in one case, they were selling made up of cardboard, and that was sold as bitcoin, and people actually bought it. And and it was actually a semi-gold coin which was sold as bitcoin. So such kind of literacy is there.
Right.
Making it legal becomes difficult for government of India too. Second point is, see, if you go by JP Morgan's person's view, they talk as they like, depending upon what kind of investment they have in different instruments. So if you look at these foreign investment companies, they will talk as per their interest. If they have larger interest, they will talk positively. If they want to sell off or do something in the market, they will talk negatively. So if you see their statements in the US market, their statements are volatile. So that makes, such kind of statements by larger investment houses make such kind of currencies more volatile. And the amount of people in Bitcoin business or in cryptocurrency business who have gone kaput, who has made so many losses and so many jail terms and so many frauds which have happened, the all-time trust on this currency is really poor. And the amount of fraud cases which are handled, people sell Bitcoin here and money given to them in India is hacked from some other account. So they end up in the account getting freeze. So many small issues are happening. Frauds around Bitcoins are so much that, people, they make an effort to buy or do hedging of Bitcoin, etc. But once their account is freezed by some or other, law enforcement agencies, they lose the confidence, then they come out of the business. There are too many things. There has to be investor education. Okay. There has to be a proper legislation and law. Then we can go for this, I think.
It's hard to blame anybody, particularly the investors, if they do lose their confidence in this particular scenario. But Chandni Shah, while I'm not batting for anything at this point, just one question that comes to my mind. The government has gone ahead, India has regulated and said that celebrities cannot endorse, or there's a regulation on endorsement of crypto for that matter. But is that enough to really guard? I mean, just for us to get a sense, average Indian, how invested are they in crypto and Bitcoin? Is there a way to understand the Indian trend at this point?
See, before I come to this question of yours, uh, it's very right of the government to actually stop the influencers and other people from endorsing crypto related projects or something. Number one, they are not financial advisors, right? Number two, they give a disclaimer that this is not a financial advice, but because they influence, they have a mass influence on people, and if they say people would invest, and they put their hands up if something goes wrong, and that is the main reason that they are barred from endorsing any such kind of projects which are not verified, or which are not, and because obviously because cryptocurrency is a gray area in India. Now how
Okay.
much is India invested in crypto? A lot. Is
The
invested
average
in
Indian.
crypto. Sorry, I could not hear you.
Okay. The
Yeah,
average
so I'm
Indian. I'm not talking about the elites.
okay. Yes, that's what I'm saying. These MLMs. See, the scam that has happened. 8,000 people have been defrauded. Worth 2,000 crores. Have been defrauded, and who are these people? I have personally seen scams where the housewives, like there's a gathering in a house where people come to a place and they would tell the housewife to invest their money, their savings or whatever in a Ponzi scheme, and they invest and they cannot even tell after they are scammed to their husbands or to their people, because they are
Yeah.
afraid that they have invested into something that they should not have. So that is the reason an education is a lot important in this area. Again, I would say, see, Bitcoin in
Right.
itself is not a scam, and tracking bitcoins or tracking crypto transactions is actually easier, because each and every transaction is recorded on the blockchain, right? Unless and until it's a private chain, you
I
get
see.
each and every transaction on the blockchain. But what is necessary is
I see.
regulation, a law that is surrounded, which covers crypto and the blockchain, and educating the people at all levels, and this should be done by people who are actually
Right.
players in the crypto field.
All right. We're totally out of time. But one thing that really comes out at this point is awareness and education as much as possible. Like investing anywhere, this also would require a lot of safeguards for that matter, including legislation as much as possible and as fast as possible. Thank you very much at this point for joining us. Many thanks to all three of you, Advocate Mishra, Chandni Shah, as well
Thank you.
as Advocate Prashant
Mali.
Mali. Thank you very much, all three of you.